All right, so we had another earthquake this morning. It was a little one. Didn't even really feel this one. Matt was asking me if I felt it when I came into the studio today, and I'm not gonna lie to you. This is like the third one in 2 weeks, and I'm getting out of my apartment. That thing. I went down. I talked to him, and I said, "What do I got to do to get out of this place?" And they said, "It's first of all, it's crazy the way this works. Let me explain what I'm gonna have to do, but." I'm 27 floors up. When that 6.6 hit, now keep in mind, a 6.6 earthquake is 125 miles away from me, okay? And that building's still swaying, okay? I can't imagine if that thing was, say, 50 miles away. I'd be losing my stuff. And it took me, what's funny is I raced down, when it happened, I raced down 27 flights of stairs, and then that evening I went and went to a friend's house for 4th of July. And then I got back, and the next morning my calves were in so much pain, and I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know what had happened. I thought, what did I do at the 4th of July party that I can barely walk? And then I flew back to Kansas, was staying with my mom, and the next day, still exactly the same, like gut-wrenching pain every time I got out of bed or walked around. I'm like, what is going on? And my mom all of a sudden goes, well, it's probably from running down all those flights of stairs. And I thought, like how did I not think of this, right? How did I not realize this? And so I go down, actually went down, was it yesterday or the day before, and sat down with the leasing office, and I said, yeah, listen, I got to get out of here. What do I do? And they go, well, here are your options. You can buy your way out of this lease. You want to guess what it is to buy myself out of my lease? $24,000. I go, so what's my other option? And they go, well, you can give 30 days notice and we can show the apartment. And then if as you approach the 30 days, you can always extend another month if you want to. And I said, why don't you just guys start showing it now? And then when you lease it, I'll just move out. And they're like, well, we can't lease it while you're still living in it. I said, but if I give you notice, I'm still going to be living in it. She goes, yeah, but it's not the same. I go, I think it is. And I'm trying to figure out whether this is a company policy or if this is like a law. Because if it's a company policy, then we can bend and contort it to our own, we can reject that reality and replace it with our own. In this case, there was nothing doing. So I have to now put my apartment up and then start looking around. And what's great is like 4 or 5 blocks to the east. It's not in, like, I live in like the primo neighborhood of downtown. It's right across from the Staples Center. It's, in the nice area. Well, if you go 4, 5, 6 blocks to the east off of Broadway, it's not the nicest neighborhood, but it's not terrible either. And they have a space there. It's like a work loft space because I work out of my home. And so it's other than the studio and where we record here, that's where all the magic happens. And I found what is essentially a loft space that's live work, 3-bedroom, 2,300 square feet, $2,000 less a month to live there. The only thing I'm not sure of is parking. They got to have some sort of gated parking, and if they don't have that, then that's out because I'm not parking a block away and walking to my building every day. I don't hate myself that much, but massive opportunity there to get a more workable space for the business while at the same time significantly reducing the out-of-pocket expense that you have to have for shelter. But anyway. Hey, these are my first world problems, people. This is what I deal with every day. That's right. Earthquakes, high-rise buildings, big, gigantic apartments. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just telling you, this is what I've been dealing with. On top of everything that I'm doing to try and, I had course content that had to go out this week for all of you all who are part of the coaching group, and I got the 2-day intensive, the communication and branding thing that's happening next month, which if you are not involved with that, shame on you. If you haven't already got your ticket, it's becometheicon.com. It's all online. You just show up for 2 solid days and you learn how to communicate, how to brand yourself, and how to become the most well-paid, well-known, and most well-liked person in your industry, which is what we all want. And that brings me to the topic for today's show, which I have a very special guest for you all. Mr. Pablo Rosario is here with me. How are you, sir?
Good. Hello, gentlemen.
Now, actually, I got a call from a buddy of mine, Alex, who invited me out to go grab a beer, and he said, haven't seen you in a while. Come have a beer with me. And I said, okay. And so I drove out, and we sat down together. And I bet we didn't sit down. He's not very good at this. He's probably good at the dating thing, but not so good at masking his true intentions. Because we sit down to have a drink, and he's like, so I got my friend Pablo, and you should talk to him. I go, oh, I see. This is what this is about. You didn't really want to see me. You just wanted to pitch him. And he goes, no, man, no, but I do want to pitch him. And so
Sounds like Alex.
Yeah. So both you and Alex worked for. So you tell everybody what it is that you do, and then we'll get into backstory.
Yeah, sure. So I used to be a program director for Neil Strauss, putting on conferences for CEOs and entrepreneurs across the country for the last 6 years. And at the same time, I've been also doing dating coaching as well. And that's what I'm doing now currently. I'm doing more dating coaching, speaking on dating and relationships, talking primarily to men, especially of the CEO and entrepreneur background.
Okay, so and let's talk for a minute about, so Neil Strauss is most well known for a book that he wrote many years ago called The Game. And it was essentially how to pick up women, how to use influence and persuasion to manipulate women and take guys who have very few social skills and teach them how to get dates with women and how to sleep with women. There's no qualms about it. There are several really good books that if you want to understand influence and persuasion, that you should read. Neil's is one of them. I don't suggest that, as we'll talk about in a minute, I don't think that what they were doing at the time was ethical, but they're all a bunch of guys in their 20s that are just, they're doing things that dudes do in their 20s. They got really granular about how to get it done. And so his is one. The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene is another one. So there's a couple of really good books if you guys are interested in researching this topic. But one of the things that happened early on, and I think even Neil talks about this now, is that, look, we didn't really understand. That was really the wrong approach. And what I really took away from his work in that book was, you can fake it for a while, right? You can create a character that you can take out to the bar that makes you look flashy and makes women attracted to you. But if you're looking for a long-term, meaningful relationship with somebody, eventually they're going to find out who the real you is. And if the real you is a broken, messed up, deeply, controlling or even just what's the word I'm looking for? Not sad, but like needy type of person, that's going to show through, and there's no chance of you having that kind of meaningful relationship. And what I loved as I talked to Alex and as we've sat here talking a little bit before the show is that you have kind of taken that, the skills and tools that are used in influence and have applied them to like real relationships. Like, how do I create a sustaining, meaningful relationship with somebody, and how do I, from the dating all the way through to the relationship and marriage? Yeah.
Yes. Now you hit the nail on the head. So when Neil first wrote the book, The Game, a lot of it was essentially very surface level. That's the best way I could explain it. It was a lot of tricks, what to say. And things like that. But the problem with that, and that Neil ended up later learning, and he actually writes about in his following book called The Truth, highly recommend it, was that it didn't fix what was underneath. Because underneath is what eventually shows up. That's what stays long term. And what a lot of people who first get into that stuff realize is that you can meet as many women as possible, but then you find yourself still not happy. You're still not fulfilled. You still find yourself going out night after night trying to fill a hole that's there. And so, how do you fill that hole? Then became the question. And then once you fill that hole, what ends up happening is that you start presenting yourself in a different way that's much more attractive than you ever were before. And this new version of you is one that's going to sustain throughout the entire relationship.
So talk to me about the whole, and because this is really interesting in terms of, I think a lot of people are in unhappy relationships, and is it because in the beginning they made the wrong choice in a partner, or is it because they just haven't clearly articulated what it is they want or need from that person, and that person would gladly give it to them if they just simply asked?
I think it's all of the above. All the above, but it all stems from essentially understanding yourself. Because here's the thing. Believe it or not, like, we are drawn to certain kinds of people. The reason for that is because of things in our past. Now, the problem is that we haven't made peace, or rather, no one knows what's going on, which explains why we keep getting relationships with the same kinds of people over and over again. And then we keep asking ourselves, why does this keep happening? And not only that, we never develop the skills to actually communicate.
So give me an example of this, like of a guy who desperately wants a meaningful relationship with a good woman, and yet can't. It always seems to be attracted. Maybe men. I know you work primarily with men, but or a woman who constantly is looking for a guy who will treat her right, and constantly is finding herself with a bad boy who treats her terribly. What is it about who we are as people that causes that divergence from who we really want to be with and who we end up with?
Good question. A lot of that is unknown. Is that we don't know. We're walking around asleep. That's the problem. And it's that while we say we want one things, we also subconsciously want another set of characteristics that we're unaware about.
Okay.
All right. And so, essentially what causes people to continually go after again and again is because that person fills that hole. And this is the big problem, is that they see the other person as a solution to that hole. So they're constantly seeking something similar in order to fill that hole, to give them that false sense of happiness, that false sense of I'm complete, I'm whole now.
Do you think that each of us, because I this is a legit question I've asked many times, I don't know the answer to, is we are a communal people. Like human beings are communal in nature. We're not isolationists. And yet most relationship coaches will tell you that you have to be happy being alone and by yourself and love yourself before you can ever love somebody else. But do you think that that's really possible if we are kind of that communal? I mean, I know that you could be happy with yourself, but don't you think that's the wrong way to ask the question? Can we ever truly be happy alone? Or is it simply a matter of us needing to be okay with who we are and know who we are, so that then the right person who's going to fill that, you talk about the hole.
Yeah.
So, I happen to think that we, almost all of us, are looking for that. There's some hole somewhere that can be filled by a relationship, a romantic relationship. So is it possible to truly be happy without that romantic relationship? Or is it just a matter of knowing yourself well enough that when that person comes along, you know who they are and they dovetail nicely with your life and what you're looking for?
I think the whole idea behind that piece of advice comes from the idea that when people are looking to, get in a relationship, they're seeking for an outside source of validation. They're seeking for an outside source of happiness. And it's not until, and speaking from like an emotionally healthy space, if you place your validation, your source of happiness outside of you, then you're gonna fall victim to the winds of change. All right. If they're not happy, then you're not happy. If they're not there, you're not happy. And as a person, that's not a healthy way to live. All right. I think what they're trying to say is that regardless of what happens outside, you yourself, emotionally speaking, want to be okay. You want to be a rock. You want to be more or less in control. That way, for your own personal happiness, you're okay. Because if you yourself are okay, you're not needy or anything like that, you could be fine. The same could be said, you know what, the same could be said for example, for people in business, right? If you are okay and then you have, let's say, one business stream go ahead and falls off, you're still okay. Your equilibrium is still fine because you are in control of it and it's not based on anything outside of you.
So if I, tell me if I'm hearing you correctly, but what I hear you say is you have to really, it's an attitude that says, I don't need you, but I want you.
Yes.
I like having you in my life, but I don't need you in my life for me to be happy.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And it's funny because there is a, I've read pretty much every book you can possibly think of on influence, persuasion, from sales books to dating books. I've read them all. And I don't remember who wrote the book that I'm recalling, but I only remember like one or two pieces from the book. But one of the things that they said in the book, I think it was a guy, he said, one of the things that you can do to increase your confidence when you go out on that first date is just simply to say, most of us go into a date saying, oh, I hope she likes me, right? I hope she's attracted to me. I hope I don't say anything stupid. And you can turn the tables on that mentally and emotionally by simply asking the question, you know what, I'm going to go on this date. I'm going to meet this woman. I wonder if I'm going to like her. I wonder if she's going to be the person that I want to have in my life. And what that does for you, not just mentally in terms of your confidence, but also your body language and your posture and how you communicate now. Everything changes because one of them puts you on the defensive and one of them puts you into a position of power.
Yes.
And I use this same technique. I've used it for years in business to do consultative selling, which is essentially to walk in, even when I was starving and I desperately needed the money and I didn't know how I was going to make it work if I didn't close this guy on a $3,000 course. Every communication was the same. I wonder if this guy is going to be a good fit for what I got. I wonder if he's going to be a good student. I wonder if he's going to be somebody that I can actually help. And by going into it that way, it takes down all the pressure, all the barriers go away, and everything just gets easier when you communicate that way.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. In those situations, when the person said no, I'm okay, or no, thank you, how did you feel inside?
Oh, yeah, much better. It was there's this sense that, oh, okay, all right then.
Right. Did you lose confidence for the next client?
No, not at all.
No. Did your self-esteem or your self-worth go down?
No.
And that's the exact thing because
it's so interesting that when we talk about this stuff, because whether you're talking about dating, and I know some of you, we've got a younger audience that listens to this. A lot of you guys are in the dating world. You're trying to figure out how to find yourself, bag yourself a nice lady, and Pablo can tell us a little bit about that in more detail in a minute, but a lot of you guys are older in business. You're married, and you're trying to keep the fire going, and you're trying to build your business and create the life that you want to create. And here's the thing: is whether you're talking about a dating relationship, one of the things that you recognize, maybe it's because I live in Los Angeles, it's like, if this one doesn't work out, there's only like 800 more that are standing in line to have a man take them out and buy them a drink, right? And eventually, if I just know what I'm looking for, I'm going to find somebody that I want to spend my time with, right? And the same thing's true in business.
Yes.
See, we want to assume that, there's only a limited number of people who could possibly out there who would want what we've got. No, there's so many people. There's an infinite number of people that you can sell to, right? If you lose this one deal or you lose these 5 clients or what, there's 5 more, there's 50 more, there's 500 more. Lose this attitude like, I have to be with this client or this person, otherwise I'm a gigantic failure.
Right, exactly. No, there is... It's cliche, but there is somebody for everybody. I promise you. In the dating world, I've seen all kinds of guys have success in relationships. And the same could be said for business, in that And that if this particular person does not want to work with you, that's fine. And maybe, possibly, they did you a favor.
Yep.
Because I imagine as a person who does business, you don't want headaches. You don't want someone calling you 15 times a day. You don't want someone taking up a lot of your time. You want somebody that you have fun working with, that makes you come alive. And I promise you, like you said, Jason, there is an infinite amount of people, and I guarantee you too, there are people looking for what you have.
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah,
it's in
absolutely.
relationships or in business, there are people looking.
Desperate for it.
Yes.
Desperate for it. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to give you the floor here in a minute. I want you to walk through a guy who is struggling in a relationship. Kind of give me an example of somebody you would typically work with and talk me through what's step one with them, what's step two, like how do you help them get where they want to go, and how do you help them establish and really maintain a positive relationship with somebody when, let's take a worst case scenario. You've got a terribly introverted person, very nerdy, tough with communication, doesn't do those things well. There's a lot socially that's broken with them. What's the process? I want to talk about that in a minute. I'll give you a chance to think about it. You probably don't need to, but I want to tell you guys about our sponsors today. The first one is Capterra. Guys, we use this all the time. So if you're looking for a software solution, there's a million of them out there. They all want to charge you a truckload of money to get on their platform, and you want to know whether or not it's right for you. One of the easiest things you can do is go to capterra.com/Stapleton. They have over 850,000 reviews of products from real software users. Discover everything you need to make an informed decision. Search over 700 specific categories of software. These guys are amazing. Like, these are real reviews from people who have actually used the software. It is so helpful. This is the first place I go when I'm looking for something new to add to our workflow here, because the last thing you want to do is custom build anything. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coding over the years, and it's never right. It's never right. I hate it. And so go to capterra.com/Stapleton, check out their products there, and find the solution that's right for you. All right. And now, Policy Genius. So here's what I happen to believe, that you ought to be responsible for you, that nobody else is responsible for your life and taking care of you and your family. That's your responsibility in life and in death. So I don't care whether you're 25 years old or you're 65 years old. If you don't have enough money to put yourself in the ground, then you need to get a little bit of life insurance. But it's not just life insurance they sell there. You can also get disability insurance, auto insurance, home insurance. They do it all. Policy Genius is super easy. You just tell them what you're looking for. They'll give you quotes from all the top insurers so that you can find the best price and the best policy that's right for you. If you need insurance but you don't want to deal with all the legwork headache, go to policygenius.com, the easy way to compare all of the top insurers and find the best value. Policygenius.com. Delegate what you hate. That's genius. Okay, guys who write copy for Policy Genius, well done. Delegate what you hate, especially if you hate getting life insurance. These guys know. What's funny is these guys know their market. Like, nobody wants to think about dying, and nobody wants to think about spending money on something that they will never see a return on, because you'll be dead when you collect on this, right? So nobody wants to do that. Delegate what you hate. What a brilliant life philosophy. See, I happen to, Pablo, everybody else, lots of people have bucket lists. They have like dreams, things they want to achieve in their life, right? I have a list of things I never want to do anymore. That's like my entire reason for getting rich is so I don't have to do the stuff that I hate doing. So things like never standing in lines, never flying on a commercial airliner, never mowing my own lawn again, right? Now, these things are all things on my list of like my success list. And that's one of them too. Delegate what you hate. We've talked about this on the show before. Why do you do things you hate? Why? Stop doing them. If you hate your job, go get a different one. If you don't have any other skills and no one else will hire you because you suck, then stop sucking. Go learn a skill, do what you love to do, start that side hustle, do whatever you need to do so that you don't wake up every day hating yourself and hating your life. Go do that thing. Delegate what you hate. Love it.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard you compliment copy points.
No, I've done that before. Remember there was the Me Undies, was it Me Undies where it's like balls out or something like that. The cop, like I could, yeah, that was great copy. Those guys were solid. Those guys were solid.
He's always getting in trouble for criticizing.
I am. I'm getting it. I always get in trouble for criticizing the copy. Like they don't like that when you do. Go figure. See, here's the thing though. What I don't think anybody understands, and you can probably speak to this too, Pablo, is that nobody cares about the guy who wrote the copy. Like the guy who's like for Movement watches, for example, amazing company. Whether you're talking about eyewear or sunglasses start at just $60, and watches at $95. They're beautiful timepieces, and Movement is just a phenomenal company, right? Well, when I tell you that it's an amazing company, if I then go and say, oh, this copy is garbage, let me fix it so that it'll be better, not only did the audience learn about copy and influence, which is kind of what this show is geared around, but they also heard a great ad from a great company. They don't feel that way They don't feel that way. When I try and pitch that and explain that, they're like, no, don't say bad things.
They're a little touchy.
And so they're a little sensitive. And why wouldn't you be? I mean, if I was sitting around writing copy for ads and then I'm sitting there listening to make sure the ad got read and some dude is like bashing on my work, I'd probably dislike him too. But, just go buy yourself some Movement stuff because it's amazing. Pick a style and design that is personal and that you like to wear. It really is. They've sold over 2.5 million products across 160 countries. This is an incredibly successful company. I own 4 or 5 watches, like 3 pair of sunglasses from these people, and it is worth every penny that you're going to pay. So whether you're buying it for Christmas or for a birthday present or whatever it is, go to Movement, mvmtwatches.com, get /Stapleton, get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns. That's mvmt.com /Stapleton. See why Movement keeps growing. Check out their expanding collection, mvmt.com /Stapleton. Love them. Okay, back to business. So, tell me, how do you start? Because you really work with, you're not talking about, hey, here's what you say and how you say it so she'll like you. You're really working deep on the person themselves.
Yes.
Okay, so walk me through that process.
Sure. So the very first thing is I get to know the person. All right. I'm not into making cookie cutter robots. That's one thing that when this whole dating thing first started, just told people what to say. And we had a lot of guys just being just social robots. And so my process is I would just first have a long conversation, just to actually get to know the person, right? Get to know them deep. And I would ask them questions. And as they're talking, I would listen to certain things. I would observe certain things. I would get to know their likes, their passion, because this is what creates, at least in my mind, their avatar, their, for lack of a better phrase, their seduction avatar. I hate to use that, but your character, your character, and it starts to build it in my head. And so then through that and understanding their psychology, that's very big for me because that helps a lot in the way I communicate with them. Because my important thing is essentially that they get it, that they get results that they want. And so I have a little bit of background with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Highly recommend everyone learn that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. What's a great starter book? Do you go to Bandler for that in terms of a great book on NLP?
Yeah, Bandler's a great place to start.
There's a couple of books that he's written. One of them may be out of print, called Magicians, or I'll look it up and I'll bring it back on Monday and tell you guys. Bandler and the other guy who kind of invented neuro-linguistic programming have written several books on everything from the psychology of it and how you use it in psychology to how to use it in sales and everything. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, highly recommend that. That's very important in terms of communication. It's not really, I would say when it comes to communication, it's not really, I would argue that it's not really what you say, it's understanding them and then you're just speaking in their language. You're not saying anything special, you're just saying it in a way that they understand, that clicks for them. So that's what I would do at first. And then after that, I would clarify a vision of what success looks like to them. Now, this is pivotal. This is something I have a deep discussion about, because I feel that when people first start going after and improving their dating life, right, they have the wrong measure of success. And this is one of the top reasons why people fail, why people get discouraged, and why people default to doing unethical, stupid things. All right. Some guys think like, oh, I have to go to the bar, I have to go to the club, I have to buy bottles and VIP and stuff like that. And if I'm talking to a woman and if I don't get her number in 5 minutes, if I'm not kissing her in 10 minutes, then I'm a failure. No, I tell them that's not reality. That's not like even the people who are good at this, that's not reality. All right. I tell people one of my favorite things to say is hunt in your jungle, which is to say that a shark doesn't go hunting in the jungle, and you don't see a lion hunting for its prey in the ocean. I'm not saying women are prey, but I'm saying just hunt in your jungle. And what I mean by that is, for example, let's say you're not a club guy. I'm not a club guy. I hate it. I hate the loud music. I hate the loud noise. Me, I'm more of a lounge speakeasy with low music in the background. I love Barnes and Nobles because I love reading. And so what I would tell people and getting to know them is go to the places that you enjoy. Go to the places that you know people that you feel comfortable, because that's going to help a lot. You won't feel like a fish out of water. That's the first thing. And after I clarify, I get with them, I clarify what their version of success looks like. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, let me just digress for a second. I actually have a client that I'm working with, and his version of success, I promise you guys, just to be able to have a conversation with people.
That's it. Just to be able to comfortably communicate with somebody.
Just to comfortably just say, hey, how are you? Tell a story here and there. He has no aspirations. He's not trying to have 15 phone numbers going like 10,000 days. No. All he wants to do is just be able to talk to people, just have a comfortable conversation. So now that we clarify their actual version of success and we set up the metrics so we know when we hit it, the next thing is we break it down to little milestones. I'm a big fan of little but frequent steps. All right. I also studied like in college. I have a psychology background. I also played baseball in college, and one of the things I also studied was sports psychology and also the psychology of performance. Mm-hmm. And I believe was it Milton Erickson, the one who made up the 10,000 hour rule.
Yes.
And so in studying that and also implementing that in my own life, what I found is that one, chunking things down works great, number one. Number two is I'm a big fan of little but focused practice frequently as opposed to spaced out large amount of practice. So a lot of things I would tell, like, for example, my clients, I would tell them rather than just going out Friday and Saturday for 3 hours, I would say go out 15 to 30 minutes every single day, Monday through Sunday. And you will find, I'm telling you, like in my work with the guys I've worked with, within 30 days, they've seen a night and day change. For people who are just scared to talk to people, like the simplest exercise, and this is for anyone that who has problem talking to people, who feel real shy. I promise you, I've done this many times with myself and other people. Say hi to one person every single day for 30 days straight, Monday to Sunday. Do not miss a day. And I'm telling you, by the end of 30 days, it will be so natural. It'll be a reaction. You'll see someone, you'll say hi, and you won't realize what's going on. So I would break it down into those things. Mm-hmm. I'll break down to those things. And in the process, I would coach them and give them feedback. But here's the awesome part about it, that this is where the fun part is for me, because I like psychology and the mind and stuff like that, is after understanding to them, I know how to speak to them. And like one of the craziest things that ever happened was, I remember I was coaching this one client, and he was having a little trouble just, approaching people. And I told him, what if instead of approaching people, what if I told you, just go meet 3 people? And you just see this change in his face. One little word just completely changed how he processed everything. And it completely changed the task at hand, mm-hmm. which is why I'm able to work with guys who are super shy and then just have them go and talk to people, because just one little simple phrase like that.
Yeah.
And so throughout the coaching, I would set up those, like I said, those milestones. Whereas, by 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we want to accomplish this, that, and the other. We'll do checkpoints in between, and I'll give them lots of different exercises. And for me, along with all the books on romance and dating and stuff like that, I've also pulled from other places. Mm-hmm. Try to give them because you never know. Some people just click differently. And so, like I would use one of the things I would use would be NLP and use anchoring. I would tell guys like, listen, is there a song that really pumps you up, that really just gets you in the mood? All right, listen to that and do this. For other guys, they're more like gamers. I actually have some clients that they're really into games and stuff. And in knowing that, I would say like one great tip, and I actually did this, pretty fun. There's an app called Habitica, which is a habit forming app, but it uses a role playing game. So you have a little avatar. Every time you do a habit, he gains an experience point. Every time you don't do the habit, he actually loses life, and your avatar can die.
Awesome.
And your
Wow.
guy can die. Your guy can die.
I'm so fixed in my habits. My avatar would probably die every day. It would never advance.
Oh man, your guy. The funny thing is, once you see your guy actually die, you're like, oh man,
I just killed
I
myself.
just killed myself. You really get into it. And on the other end, when you see your guy move up, in your head, you're like, yeah, I'm a level 7 wizard seducer, no problem. It's like a little confidence boost. But so I would pull from different ways, just depending on the person and what clicks for them.
Yeah.
If they're into games, and so I would do that, and so on and so forth. And essentially, that would be the process. And in addition, the other things that I would do is, like I said, is full circle. The other thing I would do, I would also take a look at their environment, their lifestyle, and see what they're doing. A lot of the times is, you may have the passion and stuff like that, but if you never get out of your house, that's step one.
Right.
I talk to them and they're like, oh, I have this problem and this problem. Okay, cool. What is your average day? What your average week look like? I wake up, I go to work, I eat lunch in my car, then, I come home, relax and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, step 1, stop doing that. Step 2, go out somewhere where there's people.
Yeah.
Right? Frequently, where there's a lot of people, and you'll be surprised.
Talk to me about the day. It's kind of, I wrote down.
Yeah.
I'll circle back around to this in a minute, but I wrote down the steps that you take them through, and it's actually the same steps that you would take anybody through if you were trying to help them and consult with them. Is first to identify who they are. What do they want? What does success look like for them is the way you position that. And then how do they get it? And then simply demonstrating to them that, hey, I'm going to show you how you get what you want. You told me what you wanted. I broke it down for you and gave you a timeline. This is what we got to do. And I think that's beautiful. But talk to me about the dating apps, because I thought this was the greatest thing ever. Like you literally just open this thing up, and there are 80 women who want to go out with you. They're, at least for me, they're all attractive. I don't know how it is for anybody else, but for me, all I did was turn it on, and the next thing I knew, there were 80 women standing in line wanting to go out and have drinks with me. But I imagine that it's something similar for everybody, that there's somebody out there and that these apps fill up for you, and unless you're an absolute troll. And you start going out, and then you just realize how absolutely awful the entire system is. But at the same time, part of me says, well, it does beat the old way of doing it, which is having to go out to a bar or to join a club and hopefully stumble across somebody. At least here you could just go like, yeah, I'll have a drink with her. No, not her. What's been the biggest downside in terms of relationships, the way people think about relationships today versus the way we thought about them maybe 20 years ago?
People are lazy now.
They're lazy. Okay. What do you mean by that?
They're lazy. They want everything. They don't want to put in the work on themselves. They don't want to put in the work as far as improving themselves, or even, I would even go as far as say they don't even want to put the work to filter out for what they actually want. They don't. At least you can do that in person, but over the app, it's just so ready. You're like, okay, sure.
It's just like, oh, she's hot, so yes.
Exactly.
Or, yeah.
Exactly. So they don't want to put in the work. They want to have everything hand delivered to them. And the whole thing about the dating apps, the good thing about it, like, yes, it has made things easier. It gives you connection to a lot more people. The bad thing is, it's, unfortunately, in my opinion, now it's turned into another validation seeking source to see who likes you, to see who am I attracted to. And it's called, well, let me finish this thought. And it's caused people to take a backseat to dating, to again be in the victim role. That's the way I think about it, where it's just like, this is what's presented to me, and so I'm going to accept what's presented to me. I'm not with that at all. I'm of the belief that you go after what it is you want in all aspects of life. And it's funny because, like, in my time, it's like I said, the way my mind works, I try to find crossovers and everything. And I know in the tech industry, for example, they're always looking ways to disrupt things, right? Every situation, every status quo, there's an opportunity there. There's always an opportunity. And the way I'm seeing things now is I'm actually, in a way, glad that things are the way they are, because I'll tell you what, because the people that can actually communicate, that can influence, that can present themselves in a great way, are going to stand out.
And see, I work, as I said, exclusively with established entrepreneurs. I don't even really work with new entrepreneurs because they don't have enough invested in the business to know whether or not they really want to do it. But the truth is, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter where you're at in life. You work for somebody else. You work for your dating or business or sales, or the secretary who's greeting people as they walk into the door. Your ability to influence, this is becoming something that we don't know how to do anymore. That it's not even, it used to be something that you could kind of intuitively learn because you were with people, right? But now we spend so much time on apps with our heads down, away from from conversation. Everything's gotten super easy, so we get super picky, especially when it comes to dating and relationships.
Yeah.
Our expectation is instant gratification now.
Right.
And so today, what I'm seeing from people is people don't even know how to intuitively learn these things because they're not in life enough to experience what it takes to have that intuitiveness about. And see what I'm saying?
No, I 100% agree. 100% agree. And the whole idea of influencing, it doesn't change. If you want anything in life, you're going to have to learn how to influence people. And I'm not saying that in a bad thing, and I'm sure you can agree on that, but you're going to have to give people a reason why they should do something.
Well, I think that people need to understand that you're influencing people all day, every day, whether you want to admit it or not.
Oh, yeah.
In every aspect of your life. So to talk about influence as though it's a negative thing is ridiculous, because everything from where you want everybody to go to dinner that night to when you're trying to get a better deal on your car, all of it requires influence.
Yeah.
And everything, when you're pitching your idea in the staff meeting, you're influencing. So don't think of it as negative. It has no moral compass, right? It can be used to destroy lives or to build people up.
Yep.
And my point is, if you know you're doing it all the time anyway, at least be good at it. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
At least do it intentionally. See, we do it unintentionally all the time. Be intentional. Learn enough about it to where you can be deliberate and intentional when you do it, and be honest enough with yourself to say, I'm going to try and do this now, and I'm going to be good at it.
Yep.
And that's because there's a difference. We were talking about this a little bit before the show started, but in my mind, there's a difference between manipulation and influence. Manipulation is the ugly aspect of what we do. It is where we damage someone for our own benefit. And you don't even really need to look at manipulation as negative, because I can find scenarios where if I said, look, if you're 100 pounds overweight and I manipulated you into losing 50, have I done you a disservice?
I'm not going to be mad.
The answer is no. If I've done it a healthy way, then that's fine. But influence itself is a natural thing that we have to do when we engage with others in a society. And what I see and people struggling with now is with dating apps, with social media, people do not know how to effectively communicate with one another.
Exactly. And here's a kicker too, right? I can imagine there are some people listening that are going, all right, but that's not really me. I'm not that type or anything like that. No, this is a skill, and all skills can be learned.
Yes.
Right. And it's up to you. And with so much information, the internet, Google, YouTube, you can learn. You can educate yourself. And if you want to get anywhere in life, it's your responsibility to learn. Because here's the thing, right? Let's say in your family, you're going to have to influence your family to believe that this person is going to take care of us. This person is going to lead us out of it. In your business, you're going to have to influence your boss, your coworkers, to follow you, to go with an idea that you have.
Right.
This is something that you're going to have to learn. In either way, it's something that's very doable. It's definitely skills, not something that's bestowed on a special few.
Well, and would you agree with the statement that it takes all kinds? So in my mind, I look at all of the big influencers in the world today, and you can take Gary Vee for one, and you can contrast him against somebody like Peterson. Jordan Peterson, right? Two completely different personalities, both wildly successful influencers in their own right? And wildly financially and everything. And this is true for dating as well. If you're quiet and reserved and, that you can still be an effective influencer.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to be this bigger than life. Because early on if you read the early dating books and the pickup books, one of the things they tried to push you into is, like you said, making you somebody you're not.
Right.
So we're going to make you over the top, exciting, somebody everybody wants to hang out with. We're going to put you in a flashy shirt and give you something to peacock you around. And if that's not you, well, then fake it. Figure out how to be that person. And you don't have to be that person. You just have to be you.
No, exactly. And I'm glad you said that, because the way to do that is by understanding the principles of why those things work.
Yes.
Right? Once you understand the principles behind why anything works, then you can infuse your own personality, your own way into it, which is how in dating, you don't have to be the over-the-top rock star with loud clothes. Like, no. You can be the quiet, reserved you, or you can be the charismatic, dramatic you. You can be the nervous, insecure you, as long as you understand the principles of why something works.
Yeah, see, people, what they didn't understand, what Neil and the crew back then didn't understand, was that people weren't attracted to the flashy shirts and the hair and the tan and all that. They were attracted to confidence and certainty. And Neil mentions it in the book about the importance of confidence, but that there are a million different ways to display that. You can display that in the way you walk into a room.
Yes.
Do you walk up with your head high and your shoulders back? Do you walk in with your shoulders rolled forward and your hands in your pockets? Right? It is confidence is something that oozes and comes internally, which is why when we started talking and I talked with Alex about what you were doing, I thought, well, this is the type of person. If I'm going to bring somebody on to talk about dating and relationship advice, I want somebody who understands and who's focused on how do you fix you. Because whatever you're not getting in your relationship or in your life is not a result of some external force. It's a result of your failures to do or be what you need to have what you want.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nope. Yep. No, 100%. Totally agree. And I want to add this too. Going back to those early days, it was not the actual words. It wasn't the actual clothes that got the attention of women. It's what those things conveyed, which were the confidence, the charisma, the adventureness, the successfulness. That's what they conveyed. And like I said, it goes back to the whole thing of understanding the principles. So whether you walk into a room full of executives or you walk into a room full of beautiful women, you just have to figure out how do I convey those things. And that's what goes back to communication and influence. All right? That is the question you got to ask yourself. How do I communicate this in a not so obvious way?
Right.
Because people want to be romanticized a little bit. They want to be sweet talked a little bit. But that is essentially it.
It's funny. You mentioned early at the start after we did our ad reads that you said, I hate to use the term seduction. And I thought when you said that, I thought, dude, I love being seduced. Dude, please seduce away. Like it's one of the things I've gotten so good at what I do that I see it when people do it, even when they're not trying to do it. So one of like charm, right? People will try and charm you. Oh, he's so charming, or she's so charming. Ask yourself why, because charm is an influence technique. It's a manipulation technique. They want you to think or feel a certain way about them. And I see this stuff everywhere. And when it's done well, there's nothing like that makes me more excited when I see it done, whether it's a sales pitch or whether it's a guy who walks across the room with some swagger and says, hey, I saw you at the end of I was at the other end of the bar. I saw you. I think you're beautiful. I would love to sit down and talk to you. You know, that type, you're just like, boom, dude, that
Yeah.
guy nailed it. Like, how do you, that's so disarming. Like there's nothing that she can do there.
Yeah.
She's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, she's not expecting that at all. When you see that done well, you're just like, oh, dude, yeah, please seduce me.
Yes, because like I was saying earlier, nobody walks out saying, man, I hope I have a bad day today. I hope I have a terrible conversation today. Like, no, everyone walks out hoping it's the best day ever. And if you can help do that, they're gonna like it. They're gonna be like, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, whether it's dating or in business, here's the thing. Everybody wants to be seduced. What they want, though, is the seduction to be real. Right? They want, if I'm going to come in and I'm going to say to you in a business meeting, listen, you don't have anything to worry about. We are going to take care of all of this. Your problems are over. I am 100% mark it down, refund guarantee if it doesn't come through. If I don't do everything that I need to triple your business in the next year and a half, then boom, you don't pay me a penny. Dude, everybody wants that type of seduction.
Yes.
They just want the words to be real.
Yes. It's when you start lying, it's when you start trying to overpromise and like trying to get one over on them.
Yeah.
That's where the resistance comes in. You'll find a lot of times, and it's funny, you know, it was funny because I have a girlfriend. We've been dating for 2.5 years, and we talk about the first time we met and everything, and we just talk about that day. But even she told me like, yes, I knew you were flirting. I knew what you're doing, but it's all right because I liked it. And like, I like you were funny. I like the way you went about it. And it's just that honesty principle,
right?
You know, like you don't and that's what, you know, a big thing that I've been a proponent of is you can still do everything and be honest about it. And when you're honest about it, you're not doing the selling. You're not doing the convincing, right? What you're doing, you're presenting the best possible product, which is you. All right. And then it's them making the decision. It's them convincing themselves, I want this.
Yeah. This is me. I'm happy. I'm excited to be here in this place. And if you're cool, then we can have fun. And if you're not, then I'm going to leave because I get that makes so much sense. And it has applications that are so diverse across every aspect of our lives. And it's great how you can take these same principles, same techniques, and plug it into any aspect of your life to get the kind of increase that you're looking for. I happen to believe that we're all just looking for one thing, and that's increase. Whether it's your wealth, your health, your happiness, your friendships, your relationships, whatever it is, we want increase. Some aspect of our life we're unhappy with right now. And then the question is just how do we get that increase? And if you can help somebody get that increase in their life, you'll never be poor and not in financially or in spirit because you're engaged in a work that's improving the lives of people around you. And if you have a business, if you have a skill, if you have a product that will genuinely increase someone's life and you're losing, you're not the number one person in your industry, it's because you haven't learned how to do exactly what you and I are talking about today.
Yes.
You don't know yourself well enough and you don't know the people that you're communicating with well enough.
Yes, that's a very big point of it because a lot of people, again, it goes back to the whole social robot thing. They're just talking and not really knowing, is this the thing the person wants to hear? Is this the thing that the person needs? If I could take it to the dating aspect, the equivalent, like if I could make the comparison between business and dating, that's the equivalent of me coming up to you and being all high energy. Hey, just how's it going? Hey, man. Hey, how's it going? Like that. But not realizing that, wait, he's a little bit low energy. That's not what he needs. That's not what he wants. Right. And so under having that empathy, having that EQ, that EQ can help you not only business but in life, and it helps you give the person what they want. All right, because once you start operating out of yourself, like this is what I want, this is what I want, you're always gonna lose in life. Yeah. Whether it's business, whether it's relationships, it's always understanding what do they need, what would make their day better. Always thinking about, and this is the way I think about it, is how can I make them better? How can I make their day better? Give them the best 5 minutes. Because I'll tell you what, even if you'll go and approach, you go meet a woman, you have a conversation, and let's say she's like, you know what? No, thank you. I kind of want to be by myself, or I have a boyfriend. I'm not looking for anything. Just because you were able to read and intuit, okay, what do they need, the energy that they have, and you're doing it in a respectful way, and also going back to the idea of, is this person for me? Even if it doesn't work out, in the back of her head, she's still going to think of you as respectable, as maybe someone could talk to in the future. And the same could be applied in businesses. So let's say when you're not making, let's say for instance, you have an email list, right? You have a promotion, and then you go through the whole campaign, and at the end of it, like, this is actually one of the awesome things that I learned from working with Neo. At the end of it, even for the people that didn't buy, you still give them a nice, cool little freebie saying thank you for coming by. And it's still, and you know what? I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's caused me to later on buy your product.
Yeah.
And so the same thing applies. There's so many parallels.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's what I've always said, is that every communication should leave with them feeling like they were better for having invested the time.
Yes.
Whether they buy or don't buy, whatever you're communicating to them needs to provide them value, and it's exactly what you're saying. And every communication that you have with in a relationship is that way too. You need to be cognizant of what you want and what you need, but also what they want and they need. But anyway, so how do people find you? Where do they go if they're interested? What's the first step with you?
Yeah, so okay, great. So you can reach me a couple ways. You guys can always go to my website, which is pablo.jrosario.com. And the awesome thing about that also is, for anyone that goes there, and as a big thank you to Jason for having me here too, I'm going to give you guys my personal email. That way you guys can reach me. And for anyone that listens to this and reach out to me, I'll give everybody a free 10X Your Dating Life coaching session. All right, where we'll go ahead and define what that 10X dating life looks like. We'll take a look at all the things that are actually stopping you from living it. And by the end of it, we'll have you revigorated, rejuvenated, excited to go out there and start doing it. So you guys can always email me at pablo@pablojrosario.com, or you can connect with me on Instagram at pablo.j.rosario.
Perfect. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for this is I can talk about this stuff all day, but I'll let you get out of here. We can finish the rest of our day. But anyway, guys, go check him out. And great guy, great information. And until Monday, be safe, be good. We'll talk to you then.